Hello everyone, my name is Deli, and today we're going to be discussing this video game developer term called Gone Gold, or Going Gold, right? So, you might have seen that video game studios celebrating the fact that a game has gone gold on social media, but what does that actually mean, right? The term Gone Gold comes from when the master copy of a video game was actually burnt on a disc that was gold colored. So this was something that we've done like years ago, like 20 odd years ago, right? But nowadays, things are fairly digital. The term is still something of a relic in the industry, so we continue to use it. Plus, I think it sounds pretty cool, and it is a major milestone for every developer to celebrate. This could mean that all of those hard-worked 70-hour work weeks have finally come to an end, and we're planning to cut back on the crunch. A game goes gold when it receives the approval from first-party companies like Microsoft, Sony, or Nintendo, meaning that they have approved the game to be published on their console. This also means that third parties like EA, Ubisoft, and Activision Blizzard as well. This indicates that the main development of the game is finished, the game is working and ready to be moved to the manufacturing stage. To be specific, a video game is checked to see if there are any unfinished or unplayable areas. This event means that the game is good enough to start printing copies, usually when you can play the game from start to finish without any major hiccups like crashes that prevent you from progressing. It also means that we've passed all of the compliance requirements from any or all first-party or third-party companies we're working closely with. What do these large publishing companies look for when we're doing these checks, right? They usually look to see if the game is stable or at a decent level of performance, along with having all the puzzles or the basic gameplay features and core gameplay loop working to an acceptable degree. This means that if the game doesn't run perfectly, like having frame drops or stability issues, there is a solution that could be 6 or 8 weeks away, but the fix won't be quite ready to ship in time for the intended release date. So sending it off to manufacturing to fix a game frame drop from 60 to 45 FPS means that this could be something like a shader issue, or it could be something like an LOD issue, or it could be like a memory leak. Something like that takes a little bit more time in the oven for us to hone in and fix, but the game is playable from start to finish with these little rough areas in between. It's not too big of a blemish, but it definitely is a sore spot. This is largely why there is an abundance of day one patches, because there's still a lot of work to get done to polish and remove any hard blemishes the game might have when it goes live. A personal experience of mine was that during Watch Dogs Legion, we had a few weeks to tighten up the tutorial, and we had people running around the office sending out emails and double checking to see if there was anything that we can add to make it easy for the player to start the tutorial. So they had questions like, can we add anything to the game that doesn't break any of the moving parts? Things like better text visibility, rewording the prompts, or even moving assets so that players have better lines of sight during the initial early moments of the game. This was a very rewarding process for me because it just felt like we were already at home stretch, but we still wanted to add more magic into the video game, and for me that's an experience that I would never forget. Going gold in video games has a lot of extra factors that come into play as well. Depending on the level of executive meddling or publisher meddling, a game can go gold in an unfinished or buggy state. We've seen this unfortunately quite often in the last couple years, where release dates are cutting it too close, or funding has run out, or the publisher refuses to move the release date. We've seen this a bunch of times, honestly, with games like Cyberpunk 2077, when they found out that the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4 versions of the game weren't working at all actually at the beginning of the year, but the release date was in October or November. Metal Gear Solid 5 is also another case where Kojima asked for a budget increase of $80 million to finish the game because he only had it halfway finished, and of course it happens with things like Halo Infinite, where the deadlines weren't able to be moved anymore. They already delayed it one extra year, and there was nothing coming out, so they had to launch, they couldn't move the deadlines and they had to launch it, and unfortunately that game came out with a lot of major features missing. The game was playable from start to finish, but the multiplayer was bare bones, but both of those two modes were working as intended, and they worked well enough to ship, and I think they worked well enough for the players to be mostly happy with it. Unfortunately, the real story of that was a lot different from the actual outcome, but inside, when they were making those checks, they said, this is enough. This should work. This is the bare minimum, and frankly, that's something that, happens to the best of us. And those are just some of the small issues that happen when we are making video games games and having to meet deadlines. And this is not a perfect situation all around every single time. I really genuinely wish it was, but most of the time we run into these obstacles or roadblocks quite often. But anyways, that wraps up the video, and I just want to take this moment right here to say thank you to everybody who commented, liked, and of course interacted with the video that I just previously made, which was me discussing $70 video games. Yeah, I'm just blown away by the support and the interaction. So again, a huge thank you for everybody who interacted, watched the video, liked, comment, subscribed, whatever it may be. I hope to continue publishing more of these awesome videos for you guys that are interested in the ongoings of the video game industry from the perspective of a video game developer or a AAA video game developer that's been on the inside. And so yeah, I'm just very happy to be here. Anyways, thanks so much for watching the video. Please comment down below on games that you wish to spend a little bit more time in the oven. I'd love to read some of your thoughts, and of course I love interacting with every comment I get a chance to. I really try to respond to everyone and make sure that I have a conversation with everyone as well, even if they don't necessarily agree with me. The biggest part of why I enjoy social media like Twitter or YouTube is the fact that I get to interact with so many people with differences of opinions. I think it's incredibly fun, and I'm very happy to see so much support from the internet as I continue to make these game developer centered videos. Again, thank you everyone for hanging out, and I hope to see you guys in the next video.